you are Mem Dalet Amud Beis. So we were in this Rashi explaining the machlokis about whether or not you have this leniency of when you have two tchumin that are that overlap each other, with these concentric circles. Does that in any way give you an allowance to make it one big tchum? And according to Rav Shimi Bar Chia, the answer was yes, it does. According to Rabbah, he learned a much more limiting reading of the Mishnah because he doesn't buy into it. So we were up to the Rashi had one last question, and we're about to start that question. And I'm choosing not to do his second girsa, which is, if it's good enough for ArtScroll not to bring it, it's good enough for us. Right, so the third line of that Rashi, Rishimi Sava Havlo Milsihi, you go down 3 lines, and then he just adds 1 point about Rabbah. Rabbah not buying into this concentric idea, basically saying whatever tchum you have, and the fact that you're within another tchum doesn't really do anything for you. So Rashi says, Rabbah Lesley Hodatani Nardoi La'el. Rabbah Gesundheit does not buy into that which Nardoi learned earlier. We had that a few blot ago, V'pikeachu Ayelu Tchumo, that if he's a pikeach, and he goes, and he needs to go, I think it was the case that he needed to use the restroom or something along those lines, and he therefore, Laman Kavod Abrios, we gave him the leeway to move out of his 4 amis for that purpose. If in moving 4 amis out of his tchum, which he acquired because he left the tchum, if in doing so he's able to walk back into his original tchum, then he gets a whole tchum. That's what Nadoi said. And so there is, in Nadoi, you have that inherent message of sort of those concentric circles where if you can overlap into another tchum, then you get that whole other tchum. So Rashi says if Rabbah doesn't hold of it here, he doesn't hold of it there either. The kivan the alol, period. Okay, so just on this point, just very quickly, Tosfos, if you look at Tosfos, Pirush HaKundra, second Tosfos on the page, Pirush HaKundra, Leslei l'Rabbah hodin adai. Right, so according to Rashi, this principle of Rabbah not buying into this idea of overlapping tchumin clearly is against Nardoi's principle, who said once you go in, if you overlap in your new area, then you're already in, and you can go back to your regular tchum. If you got out, but now you're allowed to back in because of trying to find a place where you can take care of your bodily needs, you're allowed to, once you're in, you're in. Well, Luri doesn't buy this. We'll just do this very quickly. Luri Nira, the Islay Hod Nadoi, that Rabbah could indeed hold of Nardoi. And there's a very fundamental difference between the Nardoi case and this case. Kivin Shechnas Betchumo, they covered Abrios. The whole reason why we let you back in is because of covered Abrios. And in going back in, you left your V'yotzami Dalan Amosov. So those 4 amas that you had are no longer relevant. You needed to find a restroom, so we let you go. So that's gone. So now you're sort of in limbo. So once you're in limbo, that's a whole different story. We'll cut you some slack. I'll let you take back your first one because you need some tchum, you need some place to be and to limit you. So in coming back, beheter and losing your the new tchum you just had based on where you are, your 4 amis. So that's why you can't compare. How could you compare that to Rabbah's case here in Agamar, where you have a tchum? It's not, the idea of just having overlapping tchum per se, Rabbah's not going to buy into. But if you already lost your tchum because you needed to leave your dalan amis, to take care of yourself, and now we need to get you a new tchum, you can't compare that to this case. It's apples and oranges, and with that we'll go weiter, and we'll leave that second girsa for maybe the next time around of Eruvin. Okay, Bez Hashem. So let's proceed then. So the Amalei Abaye. So that's where we're up to in Gemara now. Third wide line, Amalei Abaye, l'Rabbah. So Abaye says to Rabbah, okay, you don't buy into this overlapping tchumen business, and that's why you have to read the Mishnah the way you read it, that if you're still within the tchum, you can go back. which is really, wasn't seen as a major chiddush, but the chiddush was that we didn't give you new tchum as you were walking away. So you don't recognize the principle of overlapping tchum being a real legitimate halachic principle. I'll prove to you that you do. Okay, what about this case? Okay, what happens if a guy takes rest, takes his kind of shvisa, he acquires his Shabbos abode in a cave. Okay, obviously in the olden days that wasn't such a crazy thing. I just asked Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai about living in caves. So see, he rested in a cave. That's where he spent. He planned on spending Shabbos. Okay, one more time. Okay, on the area of the cave is 4,000 amos. Okay, that's how much you have to walk walk around in the cave indoors, and that's where you are. That's what your shvis is. Gaga. Okay, pachos me'arba'as alafim amma. But the top of the cave, because of the angle, and that the walls, come sliding down at an angle, the top wall of the cave is not 4,000 amos. Let's say, 3,950, 3,950 amos. Okay, so that's how much narrower the top of the cave is to the bottom of the cave. Now you're in the bottom of the cave. You have two entrances. You can go north, you can go south. And each way you go, you technically have 2,000 amos. It's a unique kind of case because, it's a big place and you have two openings, so you can really go 2,000 amos in either direction. Now, what about the top? If you decide to walk out of one side and walk on top, let's read the Gemara. Okay, and on top, the gag of the roof of the cave has less than 4,000 amos. Would you not say, Rabbah, do you not hold that if you're on top and you're walking, that you can walk to any side, and from that side, that had you walked downstairs, you would have 2,000 amos, even though you're walking upstairs, you're walking on the roof, you still have 2,000 amos from any direction of the opening beyond. Now, how do you figure that? Why would that be? Why aren't you limited to 2,000 amos? Since you're not inside the cave, you're on top of the cave. Okay. It could be, or either way, yeah. I mean, we're not carrying anything, so it's not relevant.
It's not fenced in. In other words, inside the cave, it's like being in your house.
Correct.
Your entire house is your dollar amos.
Correct.
I don't care how big it is, right? But once you get outside your house, on top of the cave is outside the house, aren't you now limited?
You think so, but apparently we give you the ability to go because it's less than 4,000 amos. So because in any tchum that you're within the tchum of the other one, because how'd you get to the top of the cave? You walked out of the openings and you walked upstairs. So because both of the amos from the northern entrance and the southern entrance converge in that overlapping small area, somehow we're going to cut you that leniency of considering the whole thing 2,000 amos. So this seems to be...
You draw no circles from each entrance.
Right. Exactly. So that seems to be a halachic principle that everyone seems to agree with. So why don't you, Rabbah, buy into that? Apparently he does buy into it. If you buy into that, why aren't you buying into the whole concentric circle thing with the Mishnah? Why wouldn't that be the same thing? Okay. Sure what he's doing there.
Well, the difference also was on the previous cases, it was you had a reason for going outside your tchum. Here you have no reason to go outside your tchum.
Okay, well, but we're giving it to you anyway. So my say,
if you're giving it to you anyway, you should give it to me everywhere then. Well,
again, obviously we'll have to see Rashi, but clearly this is a unique situation where the top is sort of somewhat subservient to the bottom. We're cutting you some slack because when you started the Shabbos, you were able to go 2,000 amos from any one of the entrances. So it's 2,000.
Yeah, from either entrance you got 2,000 amos.
Okay, right.
You got there but if you walked up the hillside and walked...
Well, that's a different story. Right.
I guess what the point is you can't walk fully across from one entrance to the other on that land up there if all you can go is 2,000 amos. because it's more than 2,000 amos. That's how they can avoid.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, again, it's right because we want to make you sort of parallel to the cave underneath you of where you started. But the bottom line is you're buying into the idea of concentric circles, and why, Rabbah, would you not buy into it in the Mishnah? To which the Gemara says, Rabbah responds, and then we'll do the Rashi. 2 lines from the bottom. Amalei, he answers them back. Do you not make a distinction between a case where you rested in that cave and you cornered that area when Shabbos hit, which sort of invites the validity of the consent of those concentric circles. Okay, to a case where you did not rest in mechitzos. Right here, you left the tchum. You were in the city when Shabbos came, and everything was fine. They need you now to give testimonies running out. Okay, and now you're outside the tchum. And now you want to go back because you still are within 2,000 amos of the city. What's the deal there? That you never cornered that shvis. You never had that area already when Shabbos hit. That's a whole new realm of allowance, which we're not going to give you, Rabbi says. Okay, so let's take a look at Rashi here. Uma ilu, two Rashis from the bottom. Uma ilu shavas b'morish b'tocha dal rapayim v'al gaga pocha dal rapayim lo nimsa klaimar. Meaning to say like this, because clearly there's a lot going on here. Do you not agree that a guy walking out of the cave, hanging out on top of the cave, can go 2,000 amos in either direction from the opening, as the diagram shows, right? You have literally a full 2,000 amos from that little gap, right? That separates the cave from the cover of the cave. You have 2,000 in either direction. How do you calculate that? How are you able to figure that would be allowed, if not for the fact that all 4,000 amos are considered basically one area of or all 3,150 amos are considered one area? Okay, so stam ora beis psachim yesh labo. So the typical cave has two openings in it, but the beis at two ends. Pesach leMizrach, Pesach leMa'ariv, an opening to the east, an opening to the west. Pesach haMizrach noisin lechutzala l'tzad Mizrach alpayim. So we give you, this is the basic halachic principle of caves. Okay, we haven't really done caves too much. Guess we'll get more into it later. But the typical cave, halachically, we're going to give you 2,000 amos from each opening of the cave. Okay, chutzla l'tzad Mizrach alpayim, l'tzad gaga alpayim. Okay, so we're going to give you from the opening east and west 2,000 amos. Okay, one more time. Pesach mizrach chutzal tzad mizrach alpayim l'tzad gaga alpayim. And the same thing is true on the roof. You can walk those same 2,000 amos on top of the cave, paralleling the bottom of the cave on the eastern side. Okay, so we're going to sort of give you that leeway, or that that view of this situation, that the roof and the bottom of the cave have parallel status. Since the roof in this particular case is less than 4,000 amis, since the walls, as the diagram shows, are narrowing, okay, to the top, okay, and they get wider later on as the ground hits. Like we said, the roof is narrower than the floor of the cave. Nimsa alpayim sheishu al gaga. Okay, Kshatzim Pesach Mizrachi. So it comes out that the roof that you walk out, if you walk out of the eastern opening, the eastern entrance of the cave, and you walk on top, Nivlos b'toch alpayim sheishlo al gaga. It comes out that it will connect and be within the 2,000 amos of the other side of the opening. On the roof. Okay, that if you had gone out from the western side, the 2,000 amos you would have gotten from the western side cover a little bit, overlap the 2,000 amos you have from the eastern side. So there's a point of overlap, I guess, where you have though the 2000 ending. You see, I guess that little he doesn't make it very clear. Doesn't make a circle, but you can figure out that from the 2000 amis has a nice place with the overlap in the middle there. That allows you viyata moda, and therefore now Abai is saying to Rabba, okay, if you can, don't you admit that if he left anyone if he went out from any one of the openings that he wanted to, which is sheyachol lahalech gaga v'chutza lo apayim amlo chol tzad. Don't you admit that not only can he walk 2,000 amas from the top of the cave, but he can walk the entire area of the less than 4,000 amas of the roof? Okay, because the concept of avlos tchumin make the entire tchum like one. Now again, this is a unique case because this is what you acquired when, like Rabbi is going to sort of answer, when Shabbos hit, you had this unique phenomenon where you really were able to go 2,000 amas from either direction, right? Because both entrances were yours and allowed you exit from there. So because of this unique situation, we're going to give you the top of the cave as well, not just the allowance of going 2,000 amas from either side of the cave. V'ilu have a gagadal paim shleimos. Okay, had the roof been 4,000 amas exact, okay, full, v'yotzei pesach mizrach, and you had gone out from the eastern exit, then we wouldn't do it. If there was no concentric aspect of it, and it was literally 2,000 against 2,000, and the border didn't overlap, you would not have been able to walk the entire roof of the cave. You'd have to pick which side you're going on, and you'd have to stop after 2,000 amas. If you wanted it to hang out in the western side of the roof of the cave, what would you have to do? You'd have to go back, ala okev, I guess by foot, likonis b'mayriv, to enter into the western side. You have to go in. You have to go back to the inside of the cave. You'd have to then go out the western side and go your 2,000 amas that way. But the idea of being able to go on the roof would never have worked because there's no overlap whatsoever. Alma, what do you see from this halacha? Okay, havla milsi, that the concept of havla is truly a legitimate concept. V'kashil tavayu lishnei. And it's a question on both. Okay, so he does mention the second lashon as well, which we have not learned, but it's only a question on what we have assumed in the lashon that we did in the based on the gears of the Gemara, that you don't buy into havlos, and that's why you have to learn this very limited pshat in the Mishnah. Why not? Don't you see that havlos is legit? To which Rabbi answers back, next Rashi, lo shani l'cha hachanami beis tchumin machmas chodesh shvisa kosele. The two tchumen you're getting, the special dispensation you're getting, is because you really, when Shabbos hit, had two different tchumen. By the nature of your cave, you're allowed to leave either side, and either side would give you 2,000 amas, and the top is sort of you get a bonus on the top based on your dwelling in the bottom. And since they overlap on top, it's viewed as one chum. Avagabe masnisam, but when it comes to our Mishnah, lo shavas ba'avi mechitzos shvisa shniya. I never dwelt within the framework of the second chum. The overlapping things were never overlapping when Shabbos hit. I just want to acquire a new one right now and use that overlap to get me back into my area. Hilka, and that's a whole different situation. Here, I literally had both 2,000 minus something areas when Shabbos hit. So once you left the Tchum and you acquired the second Tchum and you said goodbye to your first Tchum, you lost your first abode. You lost your first resting place. Okay, and the rules are very straightforward. When you leave one tchum, all you have is 2,000 amas from the second tchum. Even if it does enter into your original tchum, big whoopee. What does that do? That's not going to be a real allowance. You have no right to go from the place where your second chum ends, and onwards at all. Okay, and here he goes. Let's just do this. So it's only 3 lines. Not 2 lines. Okay, and according to the second lashon, which we don't know, so these 2 lines are probably not going to make much sense to us. Since you didn't rest in the airspace of the second mechitzos, you have either one or you have the other. But here, in the case of the cave, I have both. Islay shvisa beso. Okay, if they are overlapping, I have the resting place in my house. Vim enam uvlos kana mekomo. The ifsid base of lashon rishon near hagun. So, with Baruch Hashem, we just had an official allowance from the Rashi. The first part is what I like, seems proper to me, and therefore that's what we went with, and therefore let's move on. Okay, so we're good to go. So right now, Rab has defended himself against this attack from the case of the cave. He said the case of the cave has no bearing on my not liking the case of overlapping of the Mishnah, so I'm good, right? So Abai is not done yet. Abai is still on the offensive. So 2 lines from the bottom. So Amalei. So Abai answers back to Rabba. No, I'm sorry. The last line, last 4 words on the page. Really, Rabba? Do you really maintain that when you did not acquire that shvisa as Shabbos hit, you don't get overlap? Is that really the case? I'll prove to you it's not true. Well, Tanan, but it says in the Mishnah. Where is this Mishnah? Lakamon. So we're still a little bit away from it. On Nun Beis. What about the Mishnah that says that if you leave the tchum, 2 amas, you can go back. Right? This is the little leeway that Rabbi Elazar gives you, and the Rabbanan don't buy into it. So that if you're 2 amas away, you can enter back in. Gimel, but if you're 3 amas away, lo yikanes. You can't come back in. Now, what's a lumdus of why you can come back in? Right? We just sort of made it like a Rabbi Elazar gives you a special 2 amma dispensation, but it's not like that. It's not just willy nilly. We're going to give you 2 ammas. There's a lumdus behind Rabbi Elazar's reasoning. What's the lumdus behind his reasoning? My love, don't you say Rabbi Elazar lo taime? The Rabbi Elazar goes according to his reasoning to Amar, because he says v'hu be'emson, that when you're giving 4 ammas, you're in the middle of your 4 ammas. V'yarba ammas yavulei rabbanon commanded milli dami. And the 4 amas in this situation, okay, are like they're absorbed into the original 2,000 amas, right? It says you walked out of the tchum, and you walked 2 amas. So now you're in the middle, and you make a circle around you, and you're in the middle of the 4 amas. So the 2 amas still is what still allows you to overlap to the original tchum. So even though this is not mamish, this is not concentric, this is just touching. These are touching circles, right? They're what's that called? I don't know, whatever. I don't know, it must be geometric, terminology?
I'm sure there is.
What?
I'm sure there is.
There is, okay. So as opposed to concentric, which I think is overlapping, I imagine, I hope. So,
those circles don't, well, it's called Nagia.
Oh, okay, very good. So we're being shown Nagia here. Okay, so when the circles tie here, we're going to give you a little bit of more of an allowance where they're not mamish overlapping, but they're touching. So you're in the middle. You move 2 amas in either direction. When you move 2 amas back in the direction of your tchum, you're touching your old tchum. So is not the lumdus that there's some level of touching or concentricity going on over here that allows it. So you see, Rabbi Elazar himself says that this concept worked. Don't tell me. And in this case, I wasn't Kona Shvisa. Here, I left the Tchum. I want to go back into the Tchum. This is exactly like the case of the Mishnah. So my love, let's read it one more time. My love, he's in the middle of the 4 amas. That's how we give you the 4 amas. V'arba amas yavul rabbanon. When the rabbanon gave you 4 amas, in this situation, you can go 2 in either direction. Obviously, the circle is 4 total in its diameter. Everywhere you go, it's 4, but you're in the middle, and you're limited to 2 in every direction, and it's like you're touching it. It's like it's absorbed within your original ukomar yichnos, and the law is you can enter. Alma, what do we see from the allowance of being able to enter? Okay, not exactly Da Vinci there, but okay, right. Alma have lost tchum and milsi, that the absorption of one tchum into the other is indeed a valid matter. To which let's keep rolling. Amalei Rabba bar of Chan al Abaye. Really? You're attacking Rabba from a unique sheet of Rabbi Lezer who buys into these 2 amis, but nobody else does, right? So I mean, this is what you're hanging your hat on. Rabbi Lezer is a singular opinion. The Chacham argue with him. He says, "You're going to attack Rabba for Rabbi Lezer?" He says, "You bet I am." Why? Because I heard from Rabba Damar, because I heard from Rabba myself personally, and he said like this: the only reason why Rabbi Lezer why the Chacham argued with Rabbi Lezer and say you don't have this 2 amali way is not because they don't buy into this concept of havlos. It's because it was a dvar rishus. They don't buy into it on a regular Shabbos day, and you go out to Shpatzir because you want to see, I don't know, they're shooting a commercial and some movie star is out there, so you want to see what it's like, and that's what kind of that's the reason why for that you want to come back into the tchum. No, that's a rishus. Okay, avol dvar mitzvah moidalei. But even the chacham, and this is coming out of Rabba's own mouth, that by dvar mitzvah we will give it to you. Whereas I agree to the lumdus of Rebbe Loz, I just don't like the allowance in a non-mitzvah setting, and therefore I'm not going to give it to you typically, which Rebbe Loz does give it to you in any place. But by dvar mitzvah, everyone agrees. So this came out of Rabbah in our Mishnah. What are we talking about? The guy going out for dvar mitzvah. You're a midwife. You got to give edus. You got to be matzel somebody. You got stuff going on. The important stuff. What?
You need to save a life.
No,
One of the reasons.
Yeah. So all those are important mitzvah dika reasons. So even Rabbah would agree. So you bet my attack in my mind is legit, and there's no reason why Rabbah would have needed to do this. So the 2 dots sort of ends this Gemara, and Rabbah sort of left, in a difficult strait. Let's see. Rashi. Vatan, how can you tell me that Rabbah does not buy into this concept? Vatan, if you left the tchum 2 amas, you can come back and you're still okay. What's this concept of 2 amas? Where does it come from? What's some arbitrary number? Isn't it? Because Rabbi Lezer goes according to his reasoning. That when we gave somebody who leaves his tchum, we gave him 4 amas. The lumdus of that, for the way that 4 amas works is du be'emsa. Well, you're in the middle, so it's not you. It's really like a mistom. You don't really have 4 amas. You really only have 2 in each direction, a total of 4. But right, if you're that guy, you can't walk 4 amas anywhere you want to go. You can really only walk 2, and you just have. If you're in the middle, you're really limited. So actually, that's a chumrah. This part of it, of putting the guy in the middle, is actually a chumrah. You have in both sides 2 amas, little fikach, and therefore this guy who left 2 amas outside of the tchum, kivan the beis amos of dvukoslo betchumo, since. Okay, since those 2 amas are still clinging to his old chum, the command of Adami. Okay, Rabbi Eliezer considers it like it's still intermingled with his old chum, and there's some level of overlap, even though this is what you call kissing cousins, just mamish, it's touching at the lip of the at the edge of the 2 amas, but that's good enough. Alma milsi. Okay, don't you see that? Therefore, it is indeed a legitimate concept. So don't tell me I'm making up stuff. Abaye says this is mamish part of a Tana's opinion in a Mishnah. Lishna kama. Here we go again. Lishna kama hevi tiyufta. According to the first lashon, it is a refutation on Rabba, kasha on Rabba. Avalishta bas lo nihirli the lo kashi leila maheder. Okay, because he never asked him to go back. Uman de gorsa mefarsh kiven the whole lo havim avlos aladvukos. Okay, so let's leave that out. That's the second lashon. No reason to drive ourselves crazy at this point. Okay, if we didn't learn it, we didn't learn it. Okay, so now the question is, Umid Reb Elazar. So now the Gemara comes back and says, this is your kasha on Rabbah. You're basing your kasha Rabbah from Reb Elazar. Mid Reb Elazar Isvis Leilamar. Hopefully you're Rabbanon b'Masisin. Rabbanon argue with Reb Elazar. So what are you draying? And the answer is no. I'm draying ganz fine. I know what I'm saying, because the whole reason why the Rabbanon argue with Reb Elazar is because it was a dvar shus. Aval dvar mitzvah ma'idilei Umasisin dami sheyotza b'shus dvar mitzvahu Umasnisan Dami, umasisan dami, I guess, shiatza b'shus, what? Umasisan dami shiatza b'shus dvar mitzvahu. Okay, I don't know why he calls it b'shus. Okay, umasis dami shiatza b'shus dvar mitzvahu. He went out with the allowance based on a dvar mitzvah. Ukama rabba le'el davla lo mahanya. And yet Rabba says that avla doesn't work. So I indeed do have a problem with Rabba, and I think I'm justified in attacking Rabba, and that's it. Okay, Vafil Tuv is on the next line. Okay, next Gemara. Okay, let's just do that top toes for a second. Let's see if it. You're asking Kash from Rabbi Eliezer. Mash with Rabbi Omar Anod Amrik Rabbanon. Okay, there we go again. We're not going there. So okay, fine. So all is good. All is good. Ready to go Vitus. I guess at the end of the day, we don't really. That doesn't sound like we're big on Rabba's camp. In terms of Rabba's defense of himself is a little difficult. Seems like we are into the second shot of the Mishnah. Havla is indeed a valid situation, and we're going to give this guy the rights of Havla since he left for Dvar Mitzvah. That seems to be the bottom line. Okay, we're ready to go weiter.
So, I'm lost.
Why?
If you go for Dvar Mitzvah, we allow the overlapping of the Tchumim, and you go back to his original Tchumim. If
Right.
you don't leave for Dvar Mitzvah,
then it's machlokes Reb Elazar and the Chachamim. Well, I mean, yeah,
we don't hold. I guess we don't hold overlapping tchumim. Whatever tchum he has, I guess he doesn't have any tchum. He has arba amos basically. Once he leaves his tchum, all he really has is arba amos at that time.
Right. So So it depends on whether you're not all of Reb Elazar. If you're 2 amos away, then maybe you can come back. But not more than 2 amos, no, because you didn't leave.
So if you were that guy studying and left beyond your tchum more than 2 amos, the human chain wouldn't help you. Because you didn't go, it wasn't Dvar Mitzvah, and you're 10 amos away from your tchum, and the human chain isn't going to help you because you can't.
But remember, we said he said he left without he didn't do it.
No, right.
Right, we left without knowledge, and that's why we cut him slack there because of the fact they didn't leave b'mezid.
But we don't seem to hold that way. It doesn't.
No, that's a different case. In other words, if you can make a wall, that's similar to the case of Nardoi, that we let you go back for special reasons. So here too, if we are going to let you go back if you didn't intend to leave the tchum, and you can form a human wall, and they are not aware that they're forming the wall, then we're going to allow you to do that. That seems to be an acceptable position. Okay. But that's not today. That's today we're good. Okay. You don't like it?
That was have an Eruv, and if you walk beyond the Eruv, you have problems.
Okay, well, yeah, that's true. Okay, so next part of the Mishnah, the last line says, Kol hayotzim lahatzil choizim komer. Right, those are the words of the Mishnah. Anybody goes out to save can go back to their place. Really? Afil tuva? It sounds like you can go back. No matter how far you went, you can go all the way back. Look at Rashi. Afil tuva yosim arba alofim. More than 4,000, right? Where you have, because clearly the original statement was, the way we were understanding it is that if your 2,000 amas overlaps the original 2,000 amas, you can walk, and once you're inside, we'll give you the rest of the city already. We'll give you the rest of the original 2,000 amas because that was your original tchum. So we'll that definitely cut you some slack. But sounds like this last statement sounds like even more. So Yosem Marbo Alofim Bitmiya V'Amrit Reisha Hech Lo Mivlin Alpayim Islay V'Sulo. Okay, but you said in the Reisha that when you go out, all you can get is 2,000, and if you're lucky that if it overlaps, we'll give you the rest. But not if it's more than 2,000. That we never said. So it seems like this case of Atzala gives you more leeway as far as what you can do. It sounds like you can come all the way back and leave the Tchum completely, even more than what you got in the Reisha. So what's going on over here? So is the Sefer arguing with the Reisha? So the Gemara says, well, what's your problem? Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, Shechayzim b'chlei zayin lam kaimen. Well, okay, not yet. So Rav Yehuda says, name of Rav, that you returned with your weapons to your place. That the allowance is that you can return with your weapons. That's a chiddush. Okay, so let's see Rashi. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, lo tema filutuva. Okay, don't learn the afilu tuva. All it's right. All it says is called yotzin latzel chozim komen. So we assumed afilu tuva. We assumed that the Mishnah is extending the allowance to allow you to go back even more than 2,000 amas. No, it's not really true. We're not doing that. We're not giving you more than 4,000 amas, leeway. We're just simply saying a different nakuda. Okay, we'll look at Rashi again. Lo tema afilu tuva lo shari el apayim. Or we're giving you is 2,000, which hopefully can get you to the original 2,000. But if it doesn't get you in there, you don't get the 2,000. I've also lashminon, and the chiddush of this Mishnah is teaching me the chayzim b'chlei zaynon, that if you went out with weapons, okay, to defend, some Jews somewhere, or whatever, defending Klal Yisrael, and you can come back with them. You can keep the holsters on. You can keep the guns there. You can come back with your spears. Everything is good. And we don't say kivan nasa maisa, since you already did what you needed to do. Yashichu klei zaynon, throw the weapons away from you. Me'aleim v'lo yichalu Shabbos b'chazarason. And why should you be mechal Shabbos in your return? The time of first come on, and the reason will be explained later. But the Guf is saying that we're not going to make you drop your weapons and come back empty-handed, which should be the halacha. The danger is over. You fought the enemy. You're ready to come. You're ready to start fresh now. So and everything is quiet. So you have no right to take your weapons back. So, but the chiddush is we do. So that's a chiddush of the Mishnah, and we'll see tomorrow how we have a much easier chiddush of the Mishnah. We'll pick it up tomorrow.